Okay. Okay. Y'all like it. Y'all like it. I was just trying to see if y'all was gonna appreciate what I wanted to do with this series, but y'all watching it. So we're gonna go with it. That was a pilot program. We're gonna go with it. Right? So this is the Edward Burns cop shot story. So we're gonna keep this going. I appreciate y'all hitting that like button too. Let's go ahead and finish this story. So where we left off was there was a Guyanese guy. The book doesn't say if he owned that house or whatever the case is, but by just comprehending the story as we're reading it, he did feel the need to protect his community. Right? Whether that was a sense of just being a father and a protector and a male in that community, he wanted to fight back against these young people. Again, most of these guys are young, 18 to 30 years old. So their value and their perception of life is totally different. And of course, this is more money than their parents ever, them or their parents probably ever seen. And it's easy. It's easy to make. And guess what? These people gonna buy it. They're gonna find a way to buy these drugs anyway. So why shouldn't I sell it to them? And I understand their mentality. However, what they weren't really thinking about was the consequence it was gonna have on that particular environment. And guess what? If they're making all the money, why would they care? It's like, yo, I don't care what your gripes are. You understand? I could buy this $60,000 car today, crash it today, and go buy another one tomorrow with ease. Like, it's a lot of money floating around. It changes people. And when you're talking about putting that at risk, then some people are gonna start to die because they're just like, yo, you're not gonna put that at risk because of your morality and your ethics. You go to work for 8 hours and you make that chump change. But listen, I'm gonna let you know what's gonna happen to you if you put that at risk. You're gonna find out. And most people that go to work every day and clock in, they're not wired for just to turn into some Neanderthal waving a gun around and taking people's lives. That's not how they're wired. So it's kind of like if they don't have the means to move out of that community, then they choose silence instead of violence. However, this Guyanese guy is not, he probably wasn't born, hence why he's an Guyanese immigrant. He was born somewhere else. And he's probably used to the violence, the confrontations. He's used to it. So he's like, yo, mother skunt, move away from here. Right? He don't want them selling crack in front of his house. We not doing that. I got kids around here. You're not going to drop the value of my house by selling crack dead in front of my house. And I get it. However, where we left off, it was crazy because the people that tried to firebomb his house, the police arrested them and they was back out on the street. And when they got back out on the street, they went right back to his house to try to firebomb that joint again. It's crazy. So I'm going to take off from there. About 10 minutes after the cops left, Arjun looked out his window and spotted Webster on his lawn again. The crack dealer tossed 2 more flaming bottles this time at his house, but this time both of them bounced off. Again, Arjun telephoned the police. Events were not going well for police witness in South Jamaica. 5 months earlier, in September, a Queens grandmother named Mildred Green had witnessed a crack shooting outside her cab stand. On October 2nd, the district attorney's office had put her before a secret grand jury. 2 days later, a crackhead had silenced her with a gunshot blast in the head. This is crazy. This is I hope that this series hits the right ears, because all of this talk about being real, it all comes from a place where the culture was created out of drug abuse and drug dealing. Right? Now, we only look at the part where the drug dealers made the money. They was able to buy all these fancy clothes. And that's why you got cats like Jadakiss, they call Prince a superhero. And we not looking at none of the other devastation. There was devastation. No one should want to live like this. But we got to the point where it's like, yo, if you can't live around some killers, bro, if you can't live around, then you just soft. What are you talking about? You should not have to live, but these people don't even know they should not have to live like that, because that's how out of control the culture has gotten. For us, though, and this is not the way. This is not the way. Damn. Where's the admiration in that? I don't get it. The grandmother did what she thought, and what she was supposed to do. Yo, they selling crack and over here they shooting this, that, and the third. And then they shoot her in the head. Oh, God. I'm glad they locked a lot of y'all up. And keep messing around, and I'm going to help them lock you back up if you came out here playing game. I promise you that. Get you a punk ass right up out of here. Play with me if you want. Go ahead. I'm not part of your sicko culture, if you have not figured that out by now. I don't care nothing about what you talking, real nigga this and real nigga that. And yeah. Shut your face. Let's continue on, man. This is crazy. Fearing another Mildred Green situation, the precinct commander immediately ordered around-the-clock protection for Arjun, thus creating the faithful inward post. Let's change that picture. No, let's leave that picture there. At around 10:30 p.m. on November 10th, Officers Rapetti and Carbone were sitting in the car when they spotted Webster, chased him down, and then led him back to Arjun. The witness made a positive identification. Good for Arjun, man. I don't know where Arjun is at. We reading the story together, right? So I don't know what happens to Arjun. All I'm saying is good for Arjun. He stood on his. And what else are you going to do at this point? Are you going to cave? No, you're going to go all the way. These people tried to firebomb your house twice in one night, bro. You got to... Jesus, bro. This is crazy. This is like... This sounds like the City of Gods, the movie. It wasn't long after this that Arjun reported a man in a red Porsche. Whoa. Let's change scenes. Oh, hold on, y'all. Well, I did have that picture, but now it's kind of too late while I'm doing the video to open that up. So I messed that all up. I did have that image for you guys, though. The man told Arjun, if your family isn't out of the house in 3 weeks, you'll be killed. Arjun sped off. He later identified the man in the Porsche as Thomas Godbolt, a dealer known in the area as Mustafa. Well, that's the picture I got up of Mustafa right there. Webster and Johnson police already knew worked for Mustafa, and based on Arjun's complaint, Godbolt was arrested and jailed. Yo, I like Arjun. Arjun is what you call, what everybody else would call a straight snitch, right? Which is not snitching. But this is how this is how our brains was entrained. Yo, if you say anything against what's happening over here, you a snitch. Meanwhile, here's the difference. This ain't like the Italian neighborhoods when John Gotti was giving out all this stuff to the people, and then he was making sure the stuff was more or less staying out of the neighborhood. Like, they had certain rules amongst themselves that would keep things at least a little bit civilized. And this is why they looked at blacks as animals. And they would say so. And blacks didn't like it. They call you all type of animals and monkeys and stuff like that. But we lost the way of conducting business like a business, you know. I'm not even I don't care what you wear. So you want to get flashy? All right, cool. Keep in mind, everybody knows you a drug dealer, right? So they started buying all these big rope chains and all this crazy shit. And yeah, it shows it shows status, because if you could walk through these most dangerous neighborhoods with your gold on and not get robbed, I guess you are somebody. It makes sense. However, at the same time, I guess that would be the equivalent of today when people come online and tell us all that they doing, right? You telling me where you hustling at? And this is why I used to get pissed off. People, you know, I don't have a problem with these people personally. But you get online, you keep mentioning y'all be out in New England. Nigga, we all know what you mean when you say you're going to be out in New England. We know it's not like New England is known for tourist spots like that for black people. So if you're in New England, you're telling me because you want me to know you get busy selling drugs in New England. Fine. Now I know. Am I supposed to feel you're a real nigga because now you told me you be out in New England? I don't know. But what I do know is that the authorities are listening in. And they are not stupid. So don't blame Solly. Yo, Solly, you told him the code, nigga. Damn, nigga, lost hills, I was in New England. Yes, we all know what you meant, bro. Why are you telling us this anyway? Why? What was the significance? Why can't you shut up and get money? Why can't you guys do that? Shut up. Why do you have to dress like a drug dealer anyway? It is the most ridiculous things I've seen. You don't care about your life. You don't care about the business of it. And you live the life you love and you love the life you live. You get what you get when you act like an idiot. You play stupid games and you win the stupidest prizes. He later identified the man in the Porsche as Thomas Godbolt, a dealer known in the area as Mustafa. Webster and Johnson police already knew worked for Mustafa and based on... You know what's crazy? They said that Webster was somebody else's boss. Right? So this was arranged like a company. And yet, it wasn't treated as one. Police already knew worked for Mustafa, and based on Arjun's complaint, Godbolt was arrested and jailed. There was no other witnesses to the threat. The Guyanese immigrant overnight became an American hero. Yeah, bro. He's not playing games. Which is crazy at this time because he knows he could get killed. I mean, they're literally trying to kill you. And he's not giving an inch. You gotta respect this guy. You gotta respect this guy. Here was a man fighting back against drug dealers and a city desperate for champions. Here stood Arjun, defiant against all odds. He said, this is a quote. I know they're looking for me, but I don't care. Arjun's wild. Arjun once told a television show, I stand for justice. I don't care. Tell them I am ready to go at any time. I fucks with Arjun. I ain't gonna hold you. I like it. The cops were worried about losing Arjun. However, yeah, he's out here wild. And he don't got gun to first. He's out here with a shovel. He's out here in the wing and the prayer, a shovel, some old blessed trinkets that he brought from Guyanese that the taboo priest done said some prayers over. That's all. His faith is in that and his ancestors. He's out here big stepping. I don't care. Tell him fuck on. Score, man. He's out here wilding. I don't care. Tell him I'm ready to go at any time. The cops were worried about losing Arjun. However, on February 5th, 1989, the leader of the precinct's detective squad, Lieutenant Eugene Dunbar, prepared a warning to be read to all going platoons. Alright, let's change that. Boom. Cool. A sergeant had read Dunbar's orders to burn at roll call. As most of you know, we have a fixer at 107th Avenue and Inwood Street, the residence of Mr. Arjun. Lieutenant in Dunbar wrote, Mr. Arjun's residence was firebombed a few months ago by local drug dealers. Since that time, Mr. Arjun has had Mustafa arrested for threatening him, and Mustafa was subsequently indicted and charged with tampering with a witness. Last week, Mustafa, who is on parole, was violated. Mustafa was out of control. If you have not seen my Brooklyn and Queens stories, I will post it at the end of this video, so you can just click on that. There was another guy in that story. Bryne Glaze Gibbs allegedly had to put him down because he was out here wilding, laying everything down. This was a horrible time, not only in America but in most of these black ghettos. You had people turning into something that we were never intended to be. We lost all knowledge of self, and yet we claimed that we still kept the titles, as we do today. Yo, what up, king? I can't call you king. How am I call you king and then you call her bitch? Like, what? Make it make sense. Yo, these bitches, bro. Yo, what? But yet, if I was to correct you, I'm a tenderoni ass nigga. No, bro, you don't understand. We should not be regarding each other as such. And then you got all this smoke for the white man. It don't make sense. Make it make sense. You calling him a prejudiced KKK, and then you can't even address the women in our culture with respect. This is outside of them respecting themselves. That has nothing to do with it, right? We'll get to them at that time. Let's not do tit for tat. Yeah, but they be, look at them. No. What are you talking about, bro? Just worried about you. We'll get to them. We all lost our way. That's why we having this conversation now. This is crazy. Mustafa was wild, and I wonder where he's at today. If he's still locked up, still on street nigga time. Cause for some people, there's no rehabilitating them. These niggas just be on. It's just they just should have never been born. I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you. Should have never been born. And then some people, you sit them down for a couple of decades, and then I get it. They just want to see Ray's boom boom room before they leave this earth. Let me tell you something. You come out here with that bullshit because you trapped in a time warp, and you come back out here like it's 80 something, and you trying to instill ignorance back in this community. We're going to send you back where you came from. That's a fact. Shout out to my black principals. Shout out to my black teachers. Shout out to my black Little League coaches. Shout out to my black Golden Glove coaches. Shout out to my black basketball coaches. My black nurses. We got to be restored to greatness. And all this pretending, yo, what up, King? Yo, shut up. Shut up, bro. Let's get true knowledge itself. Fucking King. Knock it off. The important point at this time is that Mustafa now knows who the complainant is in the tampering case. He did not know this until today. We also learned today that the senior parole officer and his assistant have received veiled threats. Good God. The men assigned to the fixer at Mr. Arjun's residence should be alert at all times for their own safety. And the sector car and the adjoining cars should be alert for any calls for assistance, my fault, at 107th Avenue and Inwood. You know what's crazy? I'm surprised they even had the resources for this. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm surprised they even had the resources for this. The Inwood Post was generally regarded as a shit detail. The most tiresome detail in the 103rd precinct. Edward Bryne had already learned to cheat boredom. He killed the first hour of his tour thumbing through the Daily News and Newsweek. The most interesting story in the newspaper concerned a drug dealer from his precinct named Fat Cat Nichols. The dealer had just been sentenced to 25 years to life on a narcotics conviction. All the guys had been talking about the case at roll call. At some point, Bryne reached into his plastic bag and removed a Sony Walkman and Emerson AM/FM radio. He hung the miniature television from the rearview mirror and placed the radio on the seat. Technically, Rookie was in violation of the police procedure. A far greater transgression was cooping, falling asleep on the job. I think that's meant to say coping. Coping could, well, it doesn't mean cooping. Cooping, it says COOPING. Cooping could get a cop suspended. Yeah. I remember when my daughter was born, right? It was my first year in the master's program. I was a desktop admin from 9 to 5. Then from midnight to 8, I was a security guard. I worked in New York. I lived in Jersey. So when I got off, I had to drive to Jersey, get my daughter from my mother-in-law, who lived downstairs. I lived in her house at the time, but I lived upstairs in the attic with her daughter and my daughter. And she would watch our baby during the day. So I would relieve her, come home, relieve her, get my daughter, go upstairs. But I'm tired, right? And then I have to leave at about 10 o'clock to drive back to New York to do the security guard thing from 12 to 8. You have to do the booth, and then you have to walk around. I would do the booth, and one day I woke up and the big boss was just staring at me. I guess he just wanted to see how long I was going to be asleep. But I had like my hand like this, and he ripped me a new one, bro. He was like, "I should fire you right now." I was like, "Damn!" Like he didn't want to hear none of that. He didn't want to hear no stories, bro. It's hard. It's hard. Late night with David Letterman wouldn't cost Byrne anything more than a good scolding. He switched on the television and removed his tie, placing it in a plastic bag. It was going to be a long night, but Rookie had brought along an extra set of AAA batteries. By 2:30 a.m., Rookie was getting hungry. He was sitting on an empty stomach. His meal hour was scheduled for 3 a.m. The hour passed with no relief in sight. Eddie's replacement, a huge cop named Danny Leonard, had been ordered to sit in on the precinct switchboard. No one thought to inform Rookie of the change. We're going to just stop right there because I don't like to make the videos too lengthy. However, if y'all don't mind, do what you can. Hit the hype button. Share the video if you can. You probably won't because that's a lot to ask. But at least you can like the video. Do leave a comment. Right? And I appreciate you guys watching. I do. And because of the appreciation, I'm just going to keep these joints. Going, bro. I'm just going to keep these joints going. All right? So that being said, y'all should get part 3 soon. Peace out.